reach for the sky.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, you broke, your love life's the away. It's like you're always stuck in second gear. When it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. But I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you 'cause you're there for me
Hello, Mr. President. We're live coming into you from Fairfax,
I
Virginia.
did not have sexual relations with that woman.
All right then. How are you doing today?
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
I see. Did you have?
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
All right. Well, do you know this woman?
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
When did you?
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. That's all the time we have for today.
Sven?
In the early 1990s, the Cold War came to an end for the Soviet Union and the United States. Due to many factors, including nuclear tragedies, Gorbachev's loosening of communist policies, and the gradual seeping of democratic and liberal ideas into the minds of many Soviet citizens, the Soviet Union was finally beginning to fall. At last, the arms race that had consumed the lives of Americans and dominated American politics for decades was coming to an end. By this time, it was clear to see that the end of the Soviet Union was coming. The Berlin Wall had finally fallen, and the communist hold on the entire region was beginning to falter. In fact, in 1990, McDonald's, a shining symbol of American commerce, finally opened its first restaurant in Moscow. As the strength of the Soviet government began to fail, so did its hold on Eastern Europe. Gradually, many new countries such as Ukraine, Estonia, Belarus, Latvia, and Armenia emerged as the Soviet Union fractured and collapsed. Although for many, the collapse of the Soviet Union represented a major victory for democratic policies worldwide, it would also force Americans to consider the widespread impact that such a heavy increase in military weaponry would have on both the United States and the world as a whole. In August of 1990, Iraq invaded Kuwait, spurring off an event known as the Persian Gulf War. And after Iraq refused to accept the UN's command that they withdraw from Kuwait, the United States and many other countries got involved in the conflict. As Bush stated, one of the primary reasons that the United States got involved in the war was to protect the stability of the Persian Gulf and to produce a world more secure in the quest for peace. However, the control of certain resources in the Persian Gulf also played a heavy role in the United States' involvement in the war.
They'll push and I'll say no, and they'll push again and I'll say to them, read my lips.
Oil. Oil. Oil.
To combat Iraq, a couple of invasions were launched. First, the United States deployed troops to protect Saudi Arabia from invasion in Operation Desert Shield. Then, in Operation Desert Storm and Desert Saber, the U.S. led a series of bombings followed by a massive ground attack against Iraq that eventually freed Kuwait from Iraqi occupation.
A new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
Dishonor on you! Dishonor on your cow!
In 1998, Mulan, the first version of the animated musical adventure film produced by Walt Disney, was aired in theaters. The movie was a great success and it grossed over $304 million. The world-famous series, Harry Potter, was released in 1997, and it too was a hit with the fans. To this day, new Harry Potter movies are still being filmed and released in theaters. Another Disney classic, Aladdin, was released in 1992. The movie was the most successful film of 1992, grossing over $504 million worldwide. Finally, the renowned classic, Lion King, was released in 1994. The film was praised for its music, story, themes, and animation.
It means no worries for the rest of your days. It's our problem-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata.
O.J. Simpson, NFL star running back, was accused of murdering his wife on June 12, 1994. With countless evidence pointing at Simpson being the killer, he was nevertheless declared innocent. Why? Because he's rich. He spent $5 million to assemble a star-studded defense attorney team. Furthermore, the cop who inspected O.J.'s house was a racist and a supporter of police brutality. People were fed up. They didn't care if Simpson's blood and hair were at the crime scene. Because the cop is racist, O.J. Simpson must be innocent. They believed that Simpson was framed for his wife's death. One of the most iconic media moments of the 90s was when O.J. was chased by police cars on the highway. Crowds flooded highway bridges, stood in the streets chanting, "Free O.J., free O.J." Did he really kill her? I mean, at the end of the day, the gloves didn't fit. Okay, I'll stop right here. Let's talk about the brighter side of sports history. Whoa! Excuse me, that was a little too loud. This is so bright, I wasn't ready for that. What is... Oh, hey, Mike. Nothing much to say. This man won 6 championships, all in the 1990s. People have never seen an athlete this electrifying, charismatic, and dominating. Michael Jordan was the biggest American sports icon of the 1990s. He can sell 20,000 sneakers in a day and dunk on 20 people at night. Oh, he also made his own movie. It's pretty good. The NBA also assembled the Dream Team during the 1992 Barcelona Olympics. It was the first time an American Olympic team featured active professional athletes instead of amateurs. Journalists around the world called the Dream Team the greatest sports team ever assembled. This title stands until this day. This video is sponsored by Google.
Oh, speaking of Google, you know when Google was born? If you guessed 1998, then you are correct. This is when massive companies such as Google was founded, and still stand today to become some of the largest companies today. eBay was also founded during this time, in 1995, being one of the largest e-commerce companies today, which really showcases the business that the 1990s has dealt. The rate of the economy was greatly enhanced by internet technology, and inflation was kept under control. Besides internet technology, companies and businesses began to come together to become more wealthy and powerful overall. And while being on the topic of wealthy and powerful, Jeff Bezos founded one of the most popular e-commerce companies to date, Amazon. Amazon was founded in 1994, and now it is most people's go-to platforms to finding what they need easily.
In 1997, Dolly the sheep was the first mammal to be cloned in an experiment that proved that specialized cells could be used to create an exact copy of other mammals. The World Wide Web was created in 1989 by Tim Berners-Lee, but it started gaining popularity in the 1990s. Developments in the internet led to new platforms for e-commerce such as Google, Amazon, and eBay. To help support the growing internet, advancements in modems and networking led to faster internet speeds. One of the biggest events at the end of the 1990s was Y2K, which was the fear that all computers would malfunction when the year changed to 2000. Technologies that we all take for granted today, like SMS text messaging, and the MP3 player were also created in the 1990s.
I'm the son of raging love, the Jesus of suburbia.
Music in the 1990s is primarily characterized by two huge genre explosions, pop and grunge. In the 90s, we saw the start of what many of us consider to be mainstream pop. Bands like NSYNC and the Red Hot Chili Peppers, as well as numerous solo artists, began producing upbeat and poppy songs that were extremely popular with the new generation. Many of these bands and songs remain popular today. The cultural impact of the pop revolution was massive, as without these bands and artists, mainstream pop would likely have never reached the prominence that it has today. The other musical scene that took off in the 1990s was grunge music. This descendant of metal was much darker and more political in nature when compared to mainstream pop music. Several popular grunge bands such as Nirvana, Soundgarden, and Alice in Chains all made music that were heavily influenced by the social, political, and economic struggles of the time. Many of these bands made songs focused on gay rights, politics, and growing up during a time of social change in America. While this style of music isn't as popular today as it was in the 90s, the impact that it had on society cannot be understated. Bands such as Nirvana not only went on to inspire several other artists, including modern ones, but also inspired social and political change. Overall, the music scene in the 1990s is characterized by an era of transformation, a movement away from the funk and metal of the 80s towards more of what we consider modern music.